Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Turning the Mirror podcast. This is DMP Kenya and my name is Olengo Kwach. Today, after the country was served by a powerful documentary by the BBC Africa Eye, the documentary dubbed The Blood Parliament. This is a documentary that actually talked about and elaborated all that happened during the Gen Z protests. I won't really say all to mean everything that happened, but all because it gives a clear picture of exactly what happened, including what has been hidden by the very regime. And on the light of that, I want to discuss or analyze the reasons as to why I see Ruto's presidency as a presidency that will not go for a complete 5 years. As a matter of fact, I want to analyze why Ruto's presidency will fall before the 2027 general elections. Number one, looking at the BBC documentary, if at all you have not seen it or watched it, I'd advise that you visit YouTube, search for The Blood Parliament, and you'll be treated to a very powerful documentary. So looking at this documentary, you'll realize that most Kenyans have seriously been angered. And the memories are very fresh. Remember, it's just less than a year since this happened. And so most Kenyans have been angered, and people are planning for other things. If you look around and even check the social media platforms where the very revolution started, you'll realize that Kenyans are plotting something big. And we might be treated to a more powerful demonstrations than ever witnessed in the country. Number two, we've seen Kenyans advise each other, most of the young people. They're advising each other to ensure that they translate every bit of that specific documentary to their mother tongues or the local dialect. And therefore, we are going to have a replica of what happened during the then Finance Bill 2024. You remember how the Gen Z were out there, the young people, and even some of the older generations were out there trying to translate the contents of the then Finance Bill 2024 into their own local dialect so that their parents and even those who maybe did not manage to go to school and learn the white man language could understand it better. This is exactly what is going to happen, because already it has started. And the young people are advising each other to ensure they translate this documentary bit by bit to their local dialect and then share with their parents. Remember, the President William Ruto, the opposition chief Raila Odinga, and most of the ruling class are still very comfortable, and they were confident because most of the older generation were still holding to the fact that we need a peaceful country. And therefore, they were appreciating that it is better we have these people in power rather than have a country that is in chaos. And by the political class managing to divide and instill some false information in the older generation's minds that, it is Gachagua who is sponsoring this, it is so and so, and therefore after Ruto is out, it is going to be Gachagua who will be the president and all that. We have the better part of the older generation which bought that idea and are there supporting this government. But now, actually they didn't even see the need for the protests. Remember, the young people are out there fighting for good governance, fighting for a better country, and fighting for a country that would work for everybody. A country that is good for this generation and even the generations to come. A country where there are jobs, and a country where there's peaceful coexistence. Peaceful coexistence which is worth, not a peaceful coexistence that is just a way of let us just be peaceful so that we have a country which is together. And as long as the young people are going to manage to translate this, remember we also have other platforms, that is Twitter, we have YouTube, we have TikTok, we have Facebook, and all those platforms. These young people are going to translate this documentary into their local dialect and even share on WhatsApp groups. And that means even the older generations that were not reached by this documentary are going to watch it and see every part of it. And that tells you that even the older generation are going to move away from this government and even the ruling class. Number two, I talk about the people who are today more saddened than ever. I mentioned when I was beginning that Kenyans are angered. And as a matter of fact, even those who never knew what happened because they were maybe just listening to other people speak or even just imagining what really happened, today you would see that actually the police and even to some extent the military was involved. And as a matter of fact, even those who were still supporting this government then, someone who is human enough will be touched. And the anger is going to grow. Remember, the internet never forgets. This is a documentary that is here. I can assure you that even if it is pulled down today because of pressure, people have already downloaded it. And just a few months or weeks to election, we will see this documentary resurface if at all it is pulled down. And if it is not pulled down, then we are going to see parts of this documentary that are the most touching areas resurface and trend in most of the social media platforms. Yeah? And again, we all know the nature of our president. He will automatically comment. He will automatically respond to today's documentary. This is a documentary that has been handled very well, and it has been actually well researched and all that. But we will have an emotional president out there on top of the cars, of the roof of the cars, responding to that very documentary. And at times, you realize that he responds to many incidences or many issues without thinking of what he said yesterday or what he said previously. And so I'm quite sure that we are going to have him respond directly to this on a rally or in a rally or maybe in a function, maybe in a church event. And then we're also going to have the MPs, the senators, governors, women reps, MCAs, and even politicians and even bloggers who are allied to him respond to this publicly, maybe on their social media handles, as we have seen others have already started, people like Opondo Kaluma, who have already started saying that BBC should, the license should be taken away from them, the license to operate within the Kenyan borders. We've seen Robert Alai trying to explain that maybe the KDF officers who are involved are the ones who do protect the graveyard of the former president, the first president, Jomo Kenyatta. And we are going to have most of these come in, and even others are even going to be very strong and very straightforward to this documentary. And remember, as long as they keep speaking about that, even those who are not aware of that documentary will go and watch it because they'll make it more popular. You remember what happens in Kenya? A politician who is in the opposition or fighting against the government, the more this politician is arrested or fought by the very government, the more popular they become. Even the worst politician who was never loved by the people, as long as the government is fighting them and they are arrested, mistreated, they always become popular. People just tend to love them automatically. And that is what is going to happen. We are going to have the president respond to this. We are going to have the politicians who are allied to him respond to this in churches, in parliament, everywhere in political rallies. And that is going to make this documentary even more popular than it is now. Remember, just within 24 hours, it is already above 1 million views. What this documentary is going to do, number one, most of the upright countries with the upright political leaders and upright presidents or heads of states are going to distance themselves from the Kenyan leadership. And as a matter of fact, that will affect them directly. Again, most of the investors will automatically fear, those who wanted maybe to come and invest in Kenya, will automatically fear that Kenya is a place where if you speak your mind, if you offer your opinion, that opinion will be suppressed. And so with that alone, there are going to be so many side effects from this documentary. So many effects from all walks of life, from the voters themselves to the political leaders within the country, because high chances are that even the opposition might vacate and leave the president alone, because they will not want themselves to be associated with this. Remember, the opposition leaders managed, Moso Raila Odinga managed to convince his followers that he went to support Ruto, because if Ruto was thrown out of power, it is Gachagua who was going to take over. And many people bought that. And they even say that to date. So it is now out what is happening. And many people will see him as a conman. And so to help regain his reputation, we are going to have the former prime minister leave this government. And as a matter of fact, we said in our previous episodes that Ruto needs the opposition so much for him to survive as of now. And with that happening, Ruto will be like a naked man. So I can confidently say that with all this in place and the anger that is that is just growing. And remember what happened after the Gen Z protest, after this 25th. The president came out, said that criminals were there, infiltrated, and the Kenyans embraced that term, the criminals. And so you could hear, you are my fellow criminals. That term going on across the country. Just a few hours later, the president said he was not going to sign that finance bill into a law. And he even dissolved the cabinet. But what happened later? Majority of those who were in that cabinet were taken back or given other ministries. They were just transferred. You are transferred from this ministry to this other ministry. And even those who never managed to get back to the cabinet were assigned other roles, either as advisors or into other parastatal positions and other government positions, including ambassadors. So that alone is making Kenyans know that in as much as the president behaved as if he understood what the Kenyans were saying, he never understood that. Or maybe understood, but just took it for granted. And there are high chances that people have understood what is happening. And just something simple will make people go out. And when people are out there protesting, it is not going to be business as usual. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe and share with your colleagues, because with that, you'll seriously be supporting our work. My name is Kwach.